thriving, playing, living life to the fullest. Our mission for Kansans since 2003. We are Kansas Spine and Specialty Hospital, proudly supporting KPTS, Public Television for Kansas.
The following program is brought to you by TZ Productions, offering 40 years of media experience.
Their hard work and creativity help fuel the Kansas economy. On this edition of Hatteberg's People, we celebrate business people across the state with interesting stories to share.
You're doing a beautiful, beautiful job with this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that came out nice using the black, made it nice and clean.
You'll see their uniforms on football fields and parades across the country from coast to coast. Meet the Wichita brothers who carry on the family business that has kept America's marching bands looking their best. Also,
When I started it, I didn't even think about it being a career, but my goodness, I had no idea that I was going to be doing this for 40 years.
after that long, Kay Hatton Bach thought it was time to retire. She was looking for someone to buy her legendary West Wichita novelty store. How'd that work out? You'll have to stick around to see. Those are just some of the stories coming your way in this week's edition of Hatteberg's People.
These stories are like old friends. Their lives radiate from the screen like prophets of the past. They were teachers, but not in a classroom. Instead, they taught about life to those around them who cared to listen, and I was their student.
Hello, thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm Susan Peters. Larry is taking some time off. It is great to live in a state where hard work, creativity, and community-mindedness are so abundant. That is the key to success for so many Kansas businesses. And this week, we will highlight some of those examples, beginning with this one. The company is called Fruhoff Uniforms. It's a family company that for generations has been designing and manufacturing some of America's most impressive band uniforms.
In a world of needles and thread, Ken and Richard Fruhoff are the fourth generation of their family to operate the Fruhoff Uniform Company.
When we get up every morning, we start thinking about the things that we need to accomplish that day.
We operate basically as if we are one.
You're doing a beautiful, beautiful job with this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that came out nice using the black, made it nice and clean.
Over a sprawling workplace, band uniforms ordered from all over the U.S. are transformed from pieces of cloth to bold designs for schools and universities.
There is not a textbook in the world that can actually tell you how to run a business from the ground up.
Good morning.
You have to get in and experience it.
It's organized chaos is what we call it. Every product we make is a little bit different. Every garment requires different operations, different techniques, so we're not always doing the same thing over and over and over again.
It began a century ago when Herman Fruhoff began making ceremonial dress for fraternal organizations and the circus. Then his son Ludwig ran it and brought it through the Great Depression. Then it was Ken and Richard's father, Fred, to oversee the many craftsmen who make each uniform to rigid yet creative specifications.
We started out in the very beginning when we were 16 years old, working in the stockroom, driving the local delivery truck, running to the bus station, picking up supplies, whatever it may be.
It was a comforting feeling to know that you are part of this bigger picture. You are part of 100 years of business. You're part of continuing what they did.
I cannot wait to get out on the road and visit another school or attend another college football game or high school football game to see our products being displayed at halftime.
One day you just kind of wake up and here you are.
Fruhoff Uniforms recently inked a deal to outfit one of the world's top drum and bugle corps. Among the university bands wearing the Fruhoff label are KU and K-State. And Fruhoff also made the uniforms for the Broadway revival of The Music Man. Succeeding in business is a challenge no matter where you are, but it can be especially tough in a very small town. But that didn't keep Jason McClellan from trying. He wanted to breathe new life into his struggling community.
It's just a quaint, beautiful little town. It's down in the valley, the wide brick streets. We just need more people to come to Madison and see what it's all about.
Jason McClellan is a successful entrepreneur who travels the world but elects to live in Madison, Kansas. Now, when the town's only restaurant burned, he saw a need.
So here we are, we're without a restaurant, and I guess what got to me is I was hungry.
So, along with other townsfolk, Jason began a new restaurant in what was the old abandoned drugstore.
We got with several families in the community, and we got some very, very generous families in the community, and pulled our thoughts and efforts and money together and started the restaurant.
Nice thing about a small town and working in a small town, our commute to work is a minute. We walk to the restaurant and eat, we go back to work, and then the commute home is another minute.
Then he encouraged his wife and sisters-in-law to begin a new business called Rhinestones and Rust.
It was kind of just another challenge for us, just to, we started with what was a terrible building, and just to see the transformation, to see, bring that beautiful building back to life.
So it just kind of all came together that we could restore this building and do something for the community, and also give these girls a good, legitimate business to come in and operate out of it.
So Jason just kind of followed suit in what we already love to do, and in doing so, he gave the opportunity to us to do this full-time. I recently quit my job that I'd been doing for 10 years, and so now I get to do this full-time, which is really awesome.
Thus began, after the renovation, a new business that includes antiques and home renovation.
I like change, so I like to see change. I like to see things happen.
Then a couple of blocks away had been an old eyesore. Well, not anymore.
It is the first thing you see when you come into town. This is what welcomes you to Madison.
A beautifully restored 1940s gas station now exists, and it has become a tourist destination.
It was a lot of work, but the improvement it made when you come into town is just a 180. When I start something, I want it done now, and I want it done right.
Then, next to the Rhinestone and Rust business, a vacant spot where a theater once stood. Well, now it's about to become a park.
And our intent, which we're just now getting started on, is to make a nice little park area in here. It'll be beautifully landscaped.
Jason McClellan sees Madison as a lifelong project, a small price to pay to keep a hometown alive.
I'm older, and a small town is just pretty nice.
And since that story first aired in 2013, there wasn't enough business in Madison for Rhinestones and Rust to survive. So Jason's sister-in-law moved the store to Emporia. Jason and his wife then turned the empty downtown building into their new home. Meanwhile, the restaurant, it's still going strong. Talk about a restaurant that's going strong. How about Lucianos Restaurant? It is an elegant, authentic Italian dining experience in a place you may not expect, Mulvane, Kansas.
It's a team effort. I mean, it's not just Luciano and I that make this happen. It's everybody who's here that works so hard, that cares.
It was phenomenal.
Great, that's what we want to hear. Thanks for coming. This is the community where I grew up. This is my history. When I was a little girl, we did all our shopping on Main Street, and now it's empty, and we want to see it full again. We want to see people remember what the character and the soul of this town is about.
And come here and feel like you're in Italy. The best things in the life, I think, is food. Why not enjoy?
Yep. And so the adventure began. Nancy met Luciano Motola during a 3-year stay in Italy. They fell in love, and together brought his idea of bringing a little bit of the Italian lifestyle to Mulvane.
And we talked a long time about putting it in Mulvane or putting it in Wichita, but there were some people in the community that really supported the idea of it being here. And we knew it was a risk, but it'd be a risk in Wichita as well.
It's life.
Luciano comes from Verrocchio in the Tuscany region of Italy. He is one of 7 siblings. Their menu is his family's recipes, but it is more than just food that they bring to the plate.
My family is more valuable to me than money. My friends, my word, you know, there's certain aspects of life that sometimes I think our society gets in such a big hurry that we forget to
enjoy the life.
Right, to value the things that are more valuable than money.
They want you to experience their life in Italy. People gathering, laughing, talking, and ignoring the clock. Instead, they concentrate on living life.
And we admire you, Carol.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear.
It's when people sit down, have a great meal, and great conversation, and they just lose themselves in the moment that we can help to bring them. That is why we do it. A lot of people said we were crazy, but I at least want to try, and I want to show people, other people that are thinking about taking this kind of a risk, that it is possible.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks
We'll
for
be back.
joining us. Thanks.
You can make a difference. You can change the community.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You know, we don't feel like we've made it. We haven't. There's so much more we want to do.
Yeah, and
But
just enjoy.
It's like an adventure.
Yeah, it's like regular life.
Since opening more than a decade ago, Luciano's has become known as one of the premier Italian restaurants in South Central Kansas. And the Motolas are now bringing their high-quality cuisine to Wichita with a food truck called Strata by Luciano's. From the fine art of cooking to the fine art of glasswork, Dale Lott's business is restoring priceless, ancient stained glass windows. And a big part of his success comes from dedication and passion for what he does.
I've been doing this for 30 years, and I guess it's the only thing I know how to do.
Surrounded by images of the ages, Dale Lott works in a small shop in South Wichita, recreating masterful works of stained glass that have been damaged by wind and time.
This here was really a challenge, and I enjoyed doing it. Particularly, I guess, on this job is the mastery of the artwork and everything, and how closely and tightly everything fit together.
On the western plains of Kansas, in the tiny community of Victoria, is the church known as the Cathedral of the Plains, or St. Fidelis. A few months ago, winds clocked at 125 miles an hour blew out portions of the impressive stained glass windows.
Well, you have to go to the church in Victoria and see it. It's simply stunning. I mean, being responsible for rebuilding these windows is a substantial undertaking.
Dale Lott had done work here before and was chosen to restore the broken pieces.
The only advantage that I've got right now over the people who did this in medieval times is I have an electric soldering iron.
It's painstaking work, taking out the old lead, putting in new, and repainting new glass to match the old.
The artwork on this stuff is simply fantastic. When you do restoration work on pieces like this, I deem it my responsibility to give them a piece of glass back that is indistinguishable from the original, literally. I even reproduce factory errors.
The glass was originally designed and built by the Munich Art Glass Company in Germany and installed in 1916.
If you don't know how to pick one of these things up properly, you can do substantial damage to them.
Last week, Dale finished his work on the damaged portion and completed the reinstallation.
I say that's a mighty attractive window. Very nice.
Now, once again, the Cathedral of the Plains becomes whole as craftsmen from the future make sure the work of the past lives on for a new generation. I'm Larry Hatteberg.
After 44 years in business, Dale has semi-retired. He still does restoration work for past clients and recently completed a major project for College Hill United Methodist Church. This next business owner had plans to retire when Larry interviewed her in 2010. Kay Hatton Bach had been going strong for 4 decades with her Little West Wichita store. And Larry knew he had to do this story before she hung it up.
I think my family thinks I'm weird, and that's okay.
Kay Hatton Bach has the only business in Wichita stalked by a dragon. Kay's This and That has been a fixture in the Orchard Park neighborhood in Wichita for 40 years. Now, she's retiring and hoping to sell the business. And what a business it is.
Doesn't he look like he's having fun? He is fun. He's smiling. When I started it, I didn't even think about it being a career, but my goodness, I had no idea that I was going to be doing this for 40 years.
Wherever you go in this building, there's just fun stuff. Now, Kay knows each piece, each one designed for someone's sense of humor.
Somebody will come in, maybe very somber or whatever, and they'll put on a hat. Whole different person. It's a lot of fun. I know.
Now, over the years, our humor has changed a bit. Now, these used to be big sellers to business. Not anymore.
I don't know. I just think that it was more fun then. People, you know, laughed more. So I just think that people are just, too uptight. Yes.
With thousands of costumes worn by generations of Wichitans, this little one-of-a-kind store could become part of Wichita's history, much like Kay.
I get told that I'm part of the Wichita history. I know I'm antique, but every day, why, it's a fun thing to come to work. I just thoroughly enjoy it. I like the old-fashioned, the period stuff. Used to be, I thought I wanted to be saloon girls. But I've passed that age.
But nothing lasts forever, and this sign is still something that Kay thought she'd never see.
I would have never thought that I would have a for sale sign out here, ever.
She's going to miss her customers, but it's not the economy and it's not age that is causing Kay to sell. She says it just feels like it's time.
I'm sad, but it's, it's okay.
Well, Kay did retire in 2010 for 1 day. She says she couldn't find a seller and didn't want to shut the store down. Kay's This and That did recently relocate to West Central to a little smaller space. But on most days, you will still find Kay there selling fun and interesting stuff. You'll find a lot of fun and interesting stuff at this next business. It is a little piece of history that's part old-fashioned soda fountain, part museum. The place is run by Jay and Sherilyn Wagner in the little town of Bennington, just north of Salina. And it's a great place to linger longer.
It's a very friendly town. It's a town full of people who really care about each other.
And in that town is a little place called the Linger Longer. It's a creation of Jay and Sherilyn Wagner, who spent 14 years rebuilding the building.
We've gotten a lot of benefit from living in Bennington, and I just feel it's important to invest in the community that you're in.
We knew it was going to be quite a bit of work, but we didn't realize we'd have to fix everything.
It's complete with an old-style soda fountain, a 5-stool counter, but more important, it reminds the Wagners of their past.
I want the kids to have the same sort of experience that I had when I grew up. It was fun.
I think it's important that people remember the past as they move into the future.
That past began as a pharmacy in the early 1900s. The building burned in 1912 and the pharmacy rebuilt, going through a series of owners. Now the Wagners purchased it in 1996 and the restoration began. Today it not only operates as a soda fountain, but as a Dr. Pepper museum. Jay is addicted to Dr. Pepper and Sherilyn loves collecting.
I think we have over 2,000 antiques and collectibles here. This is the favorite part of my collection. I have several cans here that are Dr. Pepper wannabes. I think I have about 80, and some of them are wickedly nasty. They're really bad, and some of them are actually very, very good.
Jay even installed Dr. Pepper trains.
Well, yeah, I never had a train when I was a kid, so now I have my train. I'm quite happy about it. So I spent an ungodly amount of hours making trains.
But the train is fun, and it adds to the ambiance of this one-of-a-kind soda fountain. Now, in the back, a place where young people can gather to play pinball, just like the old days.
And I didn't lose as often on this one as I did on the others.
Or this shocking device. Grab a hold of it, and for a quarter, it gives you a little shock. Well, kids loved it, no matter what their age. So, you've got the old soda fountain where you can still get an original Green River soda, or a banana split to die for.
Well, life's a process. You got to enjoy it as you go along.
I want everybody to come in and have a good time. It's very important to me that everybody who walks through the door feels welcome.
Both Sherilyn and Jay realize they'll never get rich in this place, but they are certainly rich in a shared experience of creating the past for a small Kansas town.
I like the sound of people in here. It gets lonely when no one's here.
That story is from 2012, and the Linger Longer continues to linger and thrive. You can find out more about the story by clicking on the link on Hatteberg's People's page at kpts.org. Here's another kind of business that was common back in the olden days that you don't see much of anymore. It's the old-fashioned leather shop. One of the few still around us is in Hutchinson, run by a man named Gibbo.
I've done it so long that there don't seem to be much of a challenge anymore.
Gibbo works out of a small workshop next to his home. Can't miss it. It's got a parking meter in front. Now, it doesn't work, but the man inside does.
This was home, and I just started doing it here. I was working for Cessna, and I started doing this as a hobby.
So for 30 years, he's worked in this little leather shop. Now, most of his tools are old and worn, and that's exactly how he likes them.
Oh, yes. They're so much better.
For example,
it's a national cash register. It was made in 1915.
Amongst the leather apparel that is popular with cowboys and motorcyclists are aging sewing machines surrounded by the smell of leather.
A person got to keep busy. But before the day's over, I've done 5 or 6 jobs. It's something to do.
But it's not just the store he loves.
It's just fun to be on the motorcycle. I've been riding it I was 18 years old when I got my first motorcycle. And
he's been riding since the 40s, and he's been to 60 countries and spent years riding through the U.S.
Traveling really works good for me, and especially traveling by motorcycle. You got to be doing something. If you're not doing something, you're going to get bored to death.
Now in his 80s, he spends much of his time with the leather, fixing, cleaning, repairing, and loving what he does.
That I've done it so long that I guess I'm good at it.
As you look around his shop, the tools of his trade are scattered like memories. But it's his name, Gibbo, that folks ask about. They want to know his real name.
Well, we don't talk about that.
Okay, no problem. Gibbo, then, it is. From a little Hutchinson leather shop, a man lives his dream, traveling and working with his hands. For Gibbo, nothing could be better.
I'm happy. I'm really happy.
Gibbo still keeps as busy as he wants with his leather work. and he's still taking motorcycle trips with his wife, Georgia Lee. Speaking of leather, it's still a popular material for shoes, but the kind of leather dress shoes that need to be shined, they're less common these days. So the shoe shine business, it isn't what it used to be. In fact, there are very few shoe shine men left in Kansas. Well, that's part of what makes Roosevelt Gamble so special. The other thing is the pride he takes in his work.
I don't know what else I would do. I really don't. What I enjoy most about shining shoes. Make some bad look good.
As the trucks scatter and as the melting snow gives a dripping symphony, inside Roosevelt Gamble does what he is happiest doing, shining shoes.
I like this job. I really do. I like doing what I do.
The Newell Travel Plaza and Truck Stop, nestled along I-35 on Newton's east side, is a happening place. Trucks from everywhere, going everywhere.
That guy we've been looking for.
Inside, Rosie, as he's known here, works with the quiet strength of a man who knows what's important in life.
If you shine them up real nice, then they look almost like new. And I think that make the individual feel a whole lot better when they get his shoes shine. And that's what I like most about it. See, used to a long time ago, they thought a shoe shine person was kind of a low grade type person, you know. You shine shoes, you not, you know. But I don't look at it like that. I look at it, a job is a job. I realize this is a lost art, but yet still I'm gonna go as long as I can. The good Lord will. Plus, I meet a lot of fine people. Where's home?
California.
California. When they say, that's all you do, shine shoes, I say, yeah, that's all I do, shine shoes. And then they say, you don't do anything else? I don't know. I say, I'm 71 years old. I say, I don't want to do anything else. That's enough for me.
So when the trucks are gone and the customers scarce, Rosie sits in one of his chairs and reads his Bible. Like his old display boots, there is a before and after there, too.
I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing when I work. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
And Rosie is still at it. You can still find him at the Newton Truck Stop. He says business is a little slow these days, but he's still having fun and has no plans to call it quits. That's a wrap for this week. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to email us at hattebergspeople@kpts.org. We'll see you next time.
The preceding program was brought to you by TZ Productions, offering 40 years of media experience.